gentlemen.
You know, I always like to take this opportunity to talk about myself.
The man of the hour.
And let me tell you something, Daddy.
When you're the man, you make history every time you step foot in this ring.
And that's the bottom line.
Sweet Wrestling Podcast. Impact Wrestling Homecoming. Too Sweet Podcast. Episode 48. We're about to hop right on into it first. You can find me on YouTube at OMGCoreyB and at 2SweetPod. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube at OMGCoreyB, not at 2SweetPod. On Twitter, you can find me at OMGCoreyB and at 2SweetPod. You can find me on Periscope at 2SweetPod as well. This will be on Castbox at 2Sweet Wrestling Podcast and on Google Play at 2Sweet Wrestling Podcast as well. So check it out. Impact Wrestling Homecoming. We're about to hop right on into it. First, before we get into the card, I like to say that, man, Impact Wrestling, I've said this before, but Impact Wrestling put this at a busy time. We got New Japan Pro Wrestling coming up tomorrow, and on top of that, we had the All Elite announcement as well. That kind of came out of nowhere, seemingly, although they were hinting towards something that would get talked about at the beginning of the month. So it is at a extremely busy time. I'm surprised by that, but if you think that you're going to put on an excellent card, then you stick with your guns. I can respect that a lot. Looking at Impact Wrestling Homecoming, it has been a pay-per-view that has really been overlooked, if I'm being quite honest. A lot of people have overlooked this, man. And you got a lot of people talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, got a lot of people talking about All Elite. I've talked about All Elite. I had a podcast on it, full podcast on it. Check it out. But a lot of people are overlooking Impact Wrestling Homecoming. It is going to be a phenomenal show. It doesn't have a lot of matches, but I have a theory on that. Sometimes you can have a pay-per-view that doesn't have to have like 8, 9, 10 matches. If you have a pay-per-view like Impact Wrestling Homecoming that has 5 matches at the moment, those matches can get a ton of time and make for a fantastic pay-per-view. I can't remember what Impact Wrestling pay-per-view it was in 2018. I was like, man, it's not a lot of matches on it, but it ended up being a phenomenal pay-per-view. I don't know if it was Slammiversary or Bound for Glory. It was one of those pay-per-views, or Redemption. It was one of those pay-per-views that didn't have a lot of matches on it, but it rocked the freaking house. And I enjoyed every minute of it. So, we're about to hop right on into this. We're going to get into the card. Let me know your thoughts on Impact Wrestling Homecoming. Feel free to hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you love wrestling and sports. Feel free to follow on Periscope as well and on Twitter as well. So, first up, we have the Monsters Ball match. Eli Drake versus Abyss. This all came about when Abyss put Eli Drake through the table at Bound for Glory. We've since had the storyline with the fake sue job of Eli Drake with Joseph Park. And now we have a Monsters Ball match slated, Eli Drake versus Abyss. I gotta say, when it comes to the build of this card, this has not been the strongest of matches. I would arguably say that this has been the weakest in terms of build. However, when it comes to the match, this is going to be a phenomenal match. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Eli Drake is a phenomenal wrestler. And like I'll say this all the time. His personality outshadows how much of a good worker the guy really is. He can really go in the ring. It's much like Elias in WWE. The guy can really go in the ring. And this is Abyss's match, the Monsters Ball. Look, I expect a phenomenal match here, and it is going to be great to see Abyss back in the ring once again in this match at Homecoming. One of the only original left going for Impact Wrestling. And at the end of the day, it's Abyss's match. Abyss is going to pick up the victory here. No questions asked, he's going to pick up the victory. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that whatsoever. So moving on, we have the Ultimate X match, and I gotta tell you, ladies and gentlemen, seeing Ultimate X come back is just warms my heart. I cannot wait for it. It is going to be a phenomenal match. We have Jake Chris versus Ethan Page versus Rich Swann versus Trey Miguel. And these guys earned their way into the matches. And they earned their way into the matches. And this is going to be, arguably, it could be your match of the night. Because the Ultimate X is just fast-paced. We're talking about the X Division fast-paced, going left and right, up and down. Not a match that's gonna start with your normal pace and build to a fast pace later in the match. It's just gonna start fast. Normally, what's money here is when you put the Ultimate X match as the first match. If you want to get the crowd hyped up, put the Ultimate X first. Put the X Division first. They're gonna knock it out of the park. And this is gonna be no different. I'm going to enjoy every moment of this match. At the end of the day, as for your winner, when it comes to multi-man matches that have 4 people or more, I like to go with the process of elimination theory here. And that is who won't win the match. And I think that Jake Chris, his involvement with OVE, I don't think they're going to have him win the X Division Championship with Dave Chris just being off to the side. So I got Jake Chris out as winning the match. Trey Miguel, I love every bit of those rascals. And at the end of the day, Trey Miguel, he just appeared for Impact Wrestling. And I don't think it's his time yet. All those rascals can be the X Division champion at some point, but it's just not Trey Miguel's time yet. So that leaves us with Ethan Page versus Rich Swann. At the end of the day, I am very much going to go with Rich Swann as the more likely to win the match here. And I think he's the most likely to win the match. And he will be your new X Division champion. A very deserving X Division champion. So I think this is going to be a phenomenal match. Rich Swann is going to make for a phenomenal winner. I cannot wait to see this match. Next up, we have the Falls Count Anywhere match. Eddie Edwards versus Moose. I gotta tell you that I thought that this story would be over long ago, but for whatever reason, it has continued on. And at first, I thought that crazy Eddie Edwards, in the mental institution, I wasn't really feeling it at first, but Eddie Edwards came back on the episode of Impact, and in the main event with Moose and Brian Cage, he just came out and leveled Moose, and the crowd enjoyed it. And I gotta say that I enjoyed it, and I found it to be pretty entertaining. So I'm back in on this feud, and I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens tonight on Impact. I'm very much excited for it. And as for the match, look, it's gonna be a phenomenal match. Eddie Edwards versus Moose, they have phenomenal chemistry. It's much like Eddie Edwards versus Bobby Lashley, where Lashley was just the big guy that could really move around with the little guys, and Eddie Edwards could fly around. So it made for a fantastic combo, and that's what Eddie Edwards and Moose is. Moose is kind of a part of the new age big man that can fly around with the little guys and can muscle around with the bigger guys. So he fits right in with Eddie Edwards. So I expect this to be a phenomenal match. We have several match of the night candidates. That's what I like about this card. Not many matches, but all of them could be match of the night candidates. At the end of the day, Eddie Edwards will pick up the win over Moose here. The face will retain to end this feud, and I think both guys will be moving on here after this matchup. So after that, we have arguably the match that has everybody talking. LAX versus the Lucha Bros. Look, this is a dream match. At first, arguably a dream match of this era. At first, when the match was being talked about and being discussed and made, Phoenix came out with that injury, and he said that, I'll miss a little bit of time. So I was in question as to whether, the match would go down, but it's like it's going to go down. Phoenix is just fine. Pentagon and Phoenix versus LAX, Santana and Ortiz. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this match. This is being overlooked. When I talk about Impact Homecoming being overlooked, this is the match that's really being overlooked. It is like I said, an arguable dream match in this era in 2019 now. And I expect this could arguably be the match of the night. All four of these guys can just go at it, and I expect this to be at an X Division pace, high pace. And I've seen that, I cannot remember the name of the company. I would name drop the company, but I cannot remember the name of the company. I was scrolling through Twitter, and they had LAX versus the Lucha Bros at their company, and I thought about watching the match. I went to watch the match. It was standing room only in that joint, and I didn't watch it because I wanted the first time for me to watch it was to be at Homecoming, and I expected it to be a bananas match. This is going to be great. I cannot wait. I know every Impact fan cannot wait for this match because we have a great storyline. One of the better built matches on the card, with Conan being in the middle, him being mad at LAX for going about this match, and him going against his boys. It's one set of his boys versus another set of his boys. So he's caught up in the middle, and I enjoyed every bit of that storyline. I hope he doesn't get involved in the match, however. I hope it's just a straight up match. At the end of the day, Tag Team Championships on the line. This is one of probably the toughest match to pick of the night. I am going to go with LAX to pick up the victory here. This is a tough match because you like to think that the feud would continue, and logically, if the feud continues, you think that Pentagon and Phoenix would win the title, so the feud continues. But I'm going to go with LAX to pick up the victory here. So moving on, we have the Women's Championship match, Tessa Blanchard versus Taya Valkyrie. And these two have phenomenal chemistry. It has just been proven over and over and over again. The Bound for Glory match was just incredible. I watched that match when Impact was having the best of shows, and just they have phenomenal chemistry. And in the ring, as far as matches go, and in the ring as far as promos goes, they have a phenomenal chemistry as well. As for the story leading into the match, you know, I've been saying for quite some time now that the story that they are telling is that Taya Valkyrie will overcome the big bad mean Tessa Blanchard that's degrading her by calling her Johnny Impact's wife. So at the end of the day, I expect a phenomenal match. Gail Kim will be the special referee. I expect a phenomenal match. However, as much as I don't want to see that championship come out for Tessa Blanchard, I have to stick with my feeling that they are telling the story that Taya Valkyrie is going to win. And I'm going to have to go with Taya Valkyrie to become your new Women's Knockouts Champion, excuse me. And I expect this to be a phenomenal match. With Gail Kim being a special guest referee, I feel comfortable saying that no extra stuff is going to go down. No stupid extra stuff is going to sway the result. So I expect it to be a phenomenal match. Another one of those matches that is in the territory of match of the night candidate. And I expect Taya Valkyrie to pick up the win here. So we have last up the Impact World Championship, Johnny Impact versus Brian Cage. Look, this is another match that I expect to be flat out phenomenal. Of this era, a dream match, but I've seen it go down before. It is a phenomenal contrast of styles. Brian Cage, again, the epitome of the new age big man, could very much be an X Division. I mean, the fans of Impact voted him as the X Division Wrestler of the Year, and I have no problems with that whatsoever because the guy is what the X Division. He epitomizes what the X Division is, and he can fly around with the best of them. And he's a muscular guy, can muscle around with the big guys as well. Johnny Impact is one of the most athletic wrestlers going in all of wrestling today, in all of 2019 going. And This is going to be a phenomenal match. We have a phenomenal storyline going into it as well, with Killer Kross getting into Johnny Impact's head and wanting him to be aggressive when it comes to facing off against Brian Cage. Normally, a storyline like that leads to a heel turn from the goody two-shoes face, but at the end of the day, do I expect him to turn Johnny Impact heel? I don't think so. I do not expect him to turn Johnny Impact heel. And at the end of the day, who do I have winning the matchup? This is another tough one to predict. I think Brian Cage will win the Impact World Championship. He's been on a roll. They did a good job with him, with him dropping the X Division Championship. Thought that was a good way to have him lose the X Division Championship. He is cashing in option C here. I thought it was a good call there as well. And I think he's going to cash in on option C and be one of the many people that cashed in on option C and won the World Championship. He's going to be your Impact World Championship winner here. And we're going to close the show to a great match. I think this is a match where something extra is going to go down. I'm going to see Killer Kross get involved. Something is going to happen. And at the end of the day, I don't think it will matter because Brian Cage will pick up the victory. So that is my breakdown on Impact Homecoming. Let me know your thoughts on Impact Homecoming, whether it be on YouTube at OMG Corey B. Let me know your YouTube thoughts on it in the YouTube comments. Your favorite match, any of your thoughts on it. And whether it be on Periscope, let me know your thoughts, or on Twitter at OMG Corey B or at 2SweetPod. Let me know your thoughts on Impact Homecoming, how excited you are for it. I am out.